Imagine you're 7 years old, your dad's a huge dope dealer, and decides to shoot a dude. How you think your life's gonna go? Well, I got my man here, Lucas. He's gonna tell you his entrepreneurship story, and it started right there. So talk to us about those early adolescent years from 7 years old till like that point where you hit rock bottom. So how did your childhood go?
So I remember my dad, he programmed me how to play the government, be a criminal. At the age of 5, they raided our house. The cops was there. They took my dad to jail. He was a very smart criminal. They let him out of jail shortly after that. And about a year after that, the guy that was supplying him with drugs come in and act like he ran the family, act like he ran the house. He didn't knock on the door. He came in, and my dad turned up the radio, and "This Is the End" by The Doors, that song was playing. And I remember the flame coming out of the gun, and the guy fell, and my dad said, "Crawl like a dog and die." And my dad ran down to the drive-thru, got a fifth of Wild Irish Rose, drank it, and laid there, gave my mom the gun, told my mom to give the police the gun so they wouldn't go through the house and find all the drugs and money. The guy thankfully didn't die. The care flight landed right in front of our yard. They took him to the hospital. He fully recovered. They came to my dad like 6 months later, and they was like, "We know you didn't do it, but who did?" My dad said, "I don't know what you're talking about." So my dad got out of prison, and he continued to do what he was doing. There was a lot of violence in the home, a lot of things going on that pertains to that type of lifestyle. And at the age of 17, he went back to prison. At that point, I was selling marijuana, I was doing drugs, I was in and out the nightclub. I was like 250 pounds, 6'1", had a full beard so I can get into the nightclub, and people thought I was of age. So when my dad went to prison, I was 17. I just basically became him. I took his notebook pad. He had dates written down, who brung him what, who owed him what, who loaned what. And I was basically Little Bud Jr. And at 19, a man pulled me to the side, took me to the pool hall, and he showed me how to sell crack, cook coke in the crack and serve people. And he had several rental properties in the city of Dayton. And we would go to one spot for a couple of days, go to another spot. And I started getting arrested. I started going to jail. But the things he taught me and the things my dad taught me, I never caught a major case. I guess you could say I was a smart criminal, if that's...
What was your rock bottom moment that made you realize you had to change?
My rock bottom was after being addicted to drugs, being in and out the county jail, in and out of cop cars. I realized that I was going to end up dead, I was going to end up killing somebody, or I was going to go to prison for a very long time. Never went to prison, never caught a case, but I knew it was going to end up there. At the age of 20, I'm sleeping in an abandoned house, and I went to sleep smoking a blunt. When I woke up, I just began to cry. My life was flashing, and I knew something had to change. And that day, I started talking to people about being clean and sober, getting off of drugs.
So once you hit your rock bottom, Lucas, you made a decision to move on. So what was that decision?
From my rock bottom, I began to go to 12-step meetings. I went through crisis care. I went through rehab. I went through transition living. And I began to take the tools they gave me and use them for my recovery. And then I began to help people, because I realized there was a new way of life. I realized I didn't have to live in the streets no more. What I did is I just flipped it. I began to mow grass, clean gutters, lay mulch, knock on people's door. "Hey, can I help you clean your yard up? Hey, can I help you clean your gutters?" Whatever they needed. If I had to watch a YouTube video, if I had to put an ad on Craigslist, if I had to put an ad on Facebook, whatever I had to do to make a living, I did it legit. So in 2007, I checked myself into rehab. Around that time, I gave my life to God. I was working 12-step meetings. I was working on self-development, and I realized I couldn't just make it off minimum wage. And having the entrepreneurship skills I had by selling drugs, I just used that in my success today. Today, I have a successful tree company. I'm able to meet people, invite people to a new way of life. I work with some rough people, and it's kind of like a ministry. It's a light to get people to come to God. And today me and my wife, we've been married almost 3 years. We have a 3-month-old boy, a 2-year-old girl. We live in a nice home. I don't live in the hood no more. So it's been a journey, and it was a rough upbringing, but it's a great life I live now, thanks to God. So when I come across people and I want to offer my 2 cents, what I would tell somebody is the way we're created is with a void, and we try to fill it with drugs, with streets, with fast living. And I didn't know a new life. I didn't know another way. All I knew was the alleys. All I knew was the streets. I didn't know there was a better life I could live. So I try to tell people, hey, when you get up every morning, you handle your business, you take care of what you need to take care of. It makes you feel better about yourself. When we get sun, when we work, when we pay our bills, it releases endorphins in us that fights depression. And you feel like a man at the end of the day when you go home to your family, you're paying your bills, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
You just listen to the story of my boy Lucas, successful entrepreneur, somebody that I do a lot of business with and that I trust, who's had one of the hardest lives that I can even fathom, harder than the life that I had growing up in poverty. So cut the bullshit out. There's no excuse in your life that can stop you from the success and the wealth that you want, but you have to be the one to go get it.